I'm honored to be part of this journey and wish the very best for its successful execution. Hope we have great interaction with this esteemed faculty members of the university. I just want to confirm, is my voice audible? You can reply on the chat box. Am I audible? Okay, so pretty good. Thank you. So yes, so we can move further. This means. Okay, so I just move further to my next slide. I have a little brief introduction about myself. I'm presently working as professor at Dr. Gaur Hari Singhania Institute of Management and Research, Kanpur. I have my background in psychology and human resource management. I'm teaching these subjects, that is management and organizational studies, organizational behavior, training and development, HR analytics, organization change and development, compensation management, and other related paper in the HR stream. I have taken up a lot of administrative responsibility like FDP, MTP, coordinator, faculty council coordinator, and newsletter counseling is one thing which is going very actively at our institute. So I take care of that also, and some other committees as listed. As far as the research is concerned, I have presented around 20 papers at national and international journal conferences and published 11 papers in reputed journals. Also edited 2 books, and my area of interest is commitment, stress, well-being, CSR, social media, social support, and higher education. And these are my students, my lovely students I wanted to share. So I have made a special collage for all of you. The convocation ceremony, some partying, some seminar attending, some club activities at my institute with my students. Yeah, developmental program is my area of interest, and I've been interested in training people and therefore conducted say around 50 training programs, more than 50 training programs in terms of MDPs and FDPs for government as well as private organizations. The topics on which I have been taking trainings are motivation, leadership, healthcare analytics, effectiveness, performance management, human resource analytics, productivity, living life after retirement. This is one of the picture for where I am taking training for custom excise officers. These are some of the other pictures. Recently, I've conducted a program for healthcare analytics. Then for medical professionals also, we have conducted a lot of trainings. Here is training on motivation and leadership. FDP, for the last 15 years, I've been conducting a lot of faculty development programs also. Recently, during this lockdown, we have conducted e-resource, an innovative training method from 27th April for a week. Some of the conferences that I regularly organize, one among them is Humanors, that is HR Summit. The name is Humanors. This is my internet presence. Actually, this connectivity is very important in the present time. We need to know because virtually we are present. Had it been physically, we had more of say clues to understand each other. But because of virtual presence, a little more introduction is needed. More of knowing each other is needed. So I have given a little detailed introduction about myself. I've got to know there are a lot of very senior people from the university attending this program. I am so pleased by the presence of senior faculty members, all of you, that you have shared time to attend this program, this session. Especially, I thank Deputy Vice Chancellor Academics, Dean of Engineering, Dean of Business, Director of Student Affairs Department, Director Quality Assurance Department, Director Research and Engagement, and Director Training Unit. Thank you, Dr. Shad, for having such experience and senior audience for me and to share my thoughts with them. I hope I will get a lot of inputs also from all of you during the session. Uh, Dr. Shahad, can you help me by letting me know that how many people are from management, how many from India, just out of curiosity, and then how many of them have attended any program on innovative training method? Dr. Shahad, please.
Thank you so much, Doctor, for introducing yourself. I must mention that University of Buremi has a representation of nationalities from 20 plus countries. So we
Oh,
have
that's
20
great.
plus attending your session right now. It's truly international. And roughly around 16 members from College of Business have joined this session. And I can see around 10 people are there from College of Engineering. Then we have representation from College of Law as well. And almost all the essential office bearers are here attending the session right now. We have a
That's
culture of
so.
finance, so almost all of us have attended some sort of international workshops and trainings. And this is the first time we are attending a webinar organized by the university, but I'm sure we have been using the online platform for attending the sessions earlier. Thank you so
Okay,
much, Doctor.
okay. So nice, Dr. Shah. Uh, let's see what we
Yes,
have
we
more
have
to share.
foundation studies as well. I missed out. Sorry. We have Center from and we have College of Health Sciences.
Okay, okay.
We have 5
I've been
colleges
closely
and
connected to medical
from all
professional.
the 5
We have organized some programs for healthcare management. Okay,
definitely, Professor.
so we move further with this session, and I shall start my session with the story. The story is about a fisherman and the king. I will recite the story, and the story is also on the screen. The story is about King Parvez and Queen Shireen. They were sitting in the palace one day. A fisherman who was selling beautiful fish was brought in front of them. King Parvez decided to buy a fish. As you know, the kings are ready to pay more money for a even cheaper product. So what he did, he gave 4,000 dirham for the fish. The fisherman was overjoyed. He thanked King Parvez and left. What else have to So he was very thankful and he left. And the fisherman could. Queen Shireen turned to her husband in anger and scolded him for paying so much for a fish. King Parvez let her leave, uh, let her have her say, but said that the fish was purchased and that there was nothing that could be done about it now. So he said now that he and the fish is there, now nothing much can be done. So it's already given money, then better we leave it. The Queen Shiri was adamant and insisted that the fisherman be brought back. She said, no, how can a lady get convinced so easily? So she was adamant. We will ask the fisherman about the gender of the fish. She said, if he answers that it is a female, we will say that we want a male fish. If this response, and if his response is that it is a male, we will say that we wanted a female fish. Either way, we will be able to return the fish and have our money back. So the poor fisherman was called back and was asked the question. Fortunately, he was clever enough not to be caught. Fisherman replied, fish is unique in the sense that it is neutral. That is, it is neither male nor female. So intelligent fisherman replied. King Parvez was so impressed by the intelligent man that he ordered to further give 4,000 dirham to him. The fisherman thanked King Parvez again, but as he was about to leave with the heavy bag of money, one of the coins fell onto the floor. The fisherman immediately bent down to look for the coin. Queen Shireen was already upset that the fisherman has been given 8,000 dirham. Look how miserly this man is. Queen Shireen exclaimed, one coin has been fallen out of his bag, full of money, and he is searching for it instead of leaving it for some other poor servant to find. That is the point she could get and where she could catch the fisherman. This fisherman heard this remark and said, Queen Shireen, it is not out of the miserliness that I am searching for the coin, rather because it has the picture of generous King Parvez on it. I would not tolerate anyone to cause dishonor to the king Parvez by printing it on the coin. King was so flattered by this response that he immediately called for another 4,000 dirham to be given to the fisherman. When the queen saw all this, she thought it was better to hold her tongue and let the fisherman go with 12,000 dirham before the king decided to increase the amount again. So the summary is the art of speech. If one knows when, how, what to speak, such people are successful. A humble fisherman could fetch so much of money by his art of speaking. It is important to know what we say, how we say, when we say, especially when our bread and butter is earned by these skills only. So today's session will focus on this aspect of our profession. We all are teachers, and we know that a lot of our success depend on how we convey, how we connect ourselves, and this is actually an ongoing process, continuous process. We keep on learning and doing and developing. The session plan is like this: innovative methods of teaching, varied and interactive methodology will be used. The outcome expected is understanding of students' comfort in using innovative methods of teaching. The two major challenges which faculty members face these days are capturing students' attention and making learning long-lived. It's very difficult to capture attention because students are attracted to so many things, especially with the onset of internet and the devices always in their hand. Capturing attention is a challenge. And then whatever they learn, that learning is with them for quite some time. They may learn, they mug for some time, then they vomit, and then they forget. But the learning can be stabilized only when we make it long. For this to happen, classroom experience should be redefined and innovative ideas that make teaching method more effective should be implemented. So there are some innovative ideas that I have to share. Maybe many of you are using some of these ideas more intensively, but I will make a quick review and some methods I will go intensively. That will help the teachers to reinvent their teaching methods and make their classes interesting. We have to make our teaching creative by using creative tools to stimulate creativity. Playful games can be there to capture their interest, visual exercises to excite the young minds, activities where they can have freedom to explore. So these combinations can be used in the classes. Research says that by investment of time and effort, creativity can be brought in all the subjects. It's not that only humanities or management we can have all this. We can have this in mathematics, science, or any subject. It's all depends on the teacher. As far as stories are concerned, I started the session with the story. So stories are also used by the teachers for connecting with the subject and with the students. They are also used by the corporates. Successful organizations like Microsoft, Motorola, Berkshire Hathaway, Procter & Gamble, and even organizations like NASA and World Bank use storytelling as intentional leadership tool. Companies train their executive on storytelling as business students are not honed on the skills at business schools. So not only we use this storytelling as a way of lecturing or conveying our subject content, but also we can help our students in becoming expert in storytelling, which will help them in their future jobs also. These are some of the methods that I would like to touch, that the stories, games and activities, role plays, audiovisual aids, and case study. Storyboarding, Rudyard Kipling, a known author, says even history can be taught in the form of stories and it will never be forgotten. Storyboarding is a great method that you all can try anytime. Then, how do we use it? Just think, why do we watch movies? See, all the students we interact are on a virtual platform, they watch movies. They watch it because they find interest. And if we can have some story, some movie, something to keep them engaged, they will get into the subject also. So that way we can keep them engaged. We can introduce a lesson interestingly with a story. A small, it's not always that we give a long story. You can have sometimes a very personal story, maybe something which has happened around you. That can also become part of story. The story should match with the learning objective. Whatever learning or subject content that you are having, the whatever objectives are there of your course, it should be matched. It should act as a stimulant to the group. It should develop a wider outlook of the situation and the issues students are likely to face in the job. So somehow there has to be a connect that we have to see. We all are encountered with so many stories, so many themes around us. We can easily pick up if we have a mindset that I have to use a story during the session. This is I've got some content that how story affects our brain, and this is I'm not an expert in anatomy or biology, but then some this content I've got and I'm sharing with you. Neural coupling, dopamine, cortex activity, mirroring. These are some of the functions, like a story activates part in the brain that allows the listener to turn the story into their own ideas and experience, thanks to the process called neural coupling. Mirroring, listening will not experience the similar brain activity to each other, but also to the speaker. So the mirroring also works while the story is being told. So these are some biological reasons that how why storytelling becomes so very say interesting for the audience. These are some of the stories which we have in India. Uh, I think all the cultures have their mythology. They can always use. These are some of the website where you can find some good stories, and we all have our a set of stories which we can use in our day-to-day life. These are some of the stories that we use for leadership and teamwork, like story of birds flying together. The group of birds were caught in a net and they were not able to move. So the leader of the bird group said that we will fly together. And when they flew together, they could free themselves from the net. So this is how we can start with how leadership group activity can help uh, succeed and get the goals. Uh, I started teaching students using stories because the reason was very simple. I found that students are more interested, and that because it became a good reason and motivation for me. We also organize some storytelling competition for our students. Where they can learn and hone on the skill as well. These are some of the pictures where we have the contest on storytelling. So these are some of the reference. Uh, I think this is something which all of us are maybe in a way or other using. So I'm just, and I would just suggest that you keep on picking some or the other stories, some theme where you can use in your class, and the students will always enjoy it. Then games and activity. The second innovative method that we are discussing is games and activities. It's a stimulating class environment can be created by games and activities. We cannot expect young mind to sit all the day and learn. We have to make creative and stimulating environment where they can explore. Games and activities bring fun and engaging, and they help students for improving their learning. Environment has where games and activities are conducted, the environment becomes very positive and beneficial for students as well as teachers. These are some of the games I will describe. One of the game, blind drawing game. There's so many available on net. You can always devise your own games depending on the course content that you were teaching. I will discuss one of the game which I have abridged and developed for the my students. That is Risk Your Throw. Usually when the game is, you are deciding to have a game in your session, a written handout is to be prepared, and the heads of the this handout has to be like this: objective, rules, requirements, scoring procedures, and the scoring sheet. These points I am going to detail you how they are done. The details. And game. The game is like this, that there's one target and these are different steps from 1 to 10. Uh, the student can stand either at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or maybe at 10th position. And the student has to throw a ball on the target. If he takes 10th step and throws the ball on the target and he is successful, this means he has taken higher risk. The probability of ball going to the target is lesser because the distance is more. But if he throws ball from second position or first position, it is easier for him to throw and the probability of success is high. So this game is basically telling that if you take more of risk, the probability of success is less, but the scoring is such that if you throw the ball from 10th position, you will get 10 score. If you throw the ball from 5th position and you are successful, you will get 5 score. If you throw the ball from position 1, so you will get just 1 score. So more the risk, more the returns. So how risk taking is to be done? Maybe you can use it in risk taking, in leadership and planning. This game can be used. So I'm just talking in detail that how this the content of this has to be prepared by the teacher. Uh, First of all, the objective. The objective of the risk-taking game is to enable learner to demonstrate the skill needed to take calculated risk. Rules have to be very clearly specified because when it will be played in groups, the chaos can be there. So rules have to be very clear. As I've written, each participant will be given 3 attempts to throw the ball in the basket. There will be 10 steps at certain distance from the basket, as I've already discussed. If the ball falls in the basket, participant gains point equivalent to the risk step from where it throws the ball. There will be no negative points. Participant with highest total point in 3 attempts will win. The decision of the judge will be final, and the requirement will have to be prepared that we have all these things: paper balls or plastic balls, whatever you wish to have, one marker to mark the steps, paper, clipboard, pen for judges, one basket, then the scoring procedure is given. And we can also prepare a scoring sheet where you keep on writing the scores and remark so that finally when you are conducting the game, there is complete, say, everything is complete and everything is organized. Because whenever we make the class a little loose and open, especially open for creativity, the possibility is that the student misuse and they may be indisciplined, and then it becomes very difficult. For whenever we are using these innovative methods, the teacher has to be much more prepared on different aspects, and well, he or she has to be good at interpersonal skills also. A traditional class, the risk element is low, but in the innovative classes, the risk element again is higher. So I have just shared with you just one example how games and activities can be used in the sessions, and then I move to next method, This role play. So role play is again a way by which the students are actively participating in the session. This is one role play, and if the faculty members are interested, we can have this role play with the faculty members, or rest we can discuss. Let me first tell you what this role play is. Then if the interest is there among the faculty members, we can go ahead with actually playing this role in virtually on this platform as well. So the case is, a typical case is students coming late to class. The characters that we need is 4, a teacher, 2 students. One will be coming late and the other will be in the support of the latecomer. The 4th character is head of the department, who will be on inspection of the class. So we have 4 characters, and the problem is when students come late to class, it disrupts the flow of lecture or discussion, distract other students, impedes learning, and generally erodes class morale. Moreover, if left unchecked, lateness can become chronic and spread throughout the class, because there are number of possible reasons students arrive to class late, considering which causes are at the root of the problem, can help guide instructors to appropriate responses and strategies. Situation: a teacher is teaching in the class. The situation is to be disclosed to the students or to the participants of the role play, whatever we see. A teacher is teaching in the class. After 5 or 10 minutes, a student comes in the class. A warm argument takes place between the teacher and the latecomer for being late for class. At that time, another student stood up who will be in the support of the latecomer. Meanwhile, the head of the department arrives and the conversation takes place among them. Then the time required for thinking, we give participants 5-minute time to think, and for acting 10 minutes. The enactment procedure will be 4 person from the audience have to choose their role. Say if there are say 30, 40, 50, whatever be the students, you will ask that how many of them will volunteer to be part of this role play. So they are chosen as students, teacher, head of department, and the rest of them will become audience. A time interval of 5 minutes will be given to each person to think about their conversation with the help of instructor. The instructor will help instruct the time of the action. This is usually done when the things are more planned. We can have spontaneous role plays also, or maybe very planned role plays where we give the script beforehand, maybe a day before. So the whole act will take place in 10 minutes. After completion, the audience will be allowed to put their opinion about the act. The discussion will take place for the conclusion and outcome from the act. Outcome will be every teacher at least once come across students who are regularly a latecomer to the class. They have to be handled it. They have to handle it. This exercise will help them in understanding the student's perspective and also try out ways of handling the problem in controlled setting. This discussion part will help them to have reflection on their reactions by their colleagues. So now I request, if any one of you is interested in this role play, you can speak it out. So we will have these 4 say characters. Yes, from among you all, and virtually we can play the role. We will understand student psychology as well. So is there anyone interested? I give you a minute or so to think, because say sometime back, I have virtually played this role with the faculty members, and it came out very well virtually also. Okay. So it seems faculty members today are in the mood to listen more. Okay. So we can just assume that there are students who are there in the class.
Thank you, Doctor. We are listening. It's very interesting topic. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. I'm so glad that someone responded, at least spoke something. When no one is speaking, then it seems that no one is listening. So thank you, sir, for responding and giving me a clue that there are people listening to me. Thank you very much. So we can just assume, I will just tell you the summary of what we had in the previous, say, role play exercise that I conducted for faculty members sometime back. When teacher went into the role of students, then they were very logical, and they were very convinced the reason of their late coming that they were giving was so logical. See, this is not the first that I am coming late for the first time. This is a regular problem, and the problem is because of the system. The classes are so closely scheduled that commuting from one class to the other is not possible. And why don't you look into your system? This is how the students started telling to their teacher, who was becoming the teacher role, taking the role of a teacher. So when you get into the role of a student, you understand better that their problems can be genuine. When we stand in the position of a teacher, then we are usually seeing students at a fault, and we assume that the students are doing it maybe out of their naughtiness or mischievousness, or maybe because of their careless. But when you get into the role of a student, then you understand better, and that's the objective of role playing. So this is the format that you can use if you're using any role play. Then you can use these heads, prepare your content before you get into the class. Again, this is a method which is which gives class a little loose structure. So we need to have a good rapport with the students. A discipline factor has to be controlled. Little space has to be given. There will be little funniness, so we will have to give some space. We cannot expect a very strict class with these innovative methods. So some freedom has to be given. So I come with some theoretical inputs on role play. Confucius says, I hear, I forget. I see, I remember. I do when I understand. And this is something we all understand and accept. When we do, the learning is for a longer time. So role playing thus brings a learning which is long lived. When I talk to my students who have passed, say, 20 years back, when I ask them, what do you remember? They usually recall the activities that they have done rather than the content that I have taught. So that also gives me a clue that the activities are remembered more, and we can have at least, if suppose we have a 30 or 40 hour session for a subject, we can have 1 or 2 session for role play, 1 or 2 session from games and activities, and maybe rest we can have for traditional lecturing. So this is how we can make our session plan more attractive, and the students' involvement can be increased. Okay, we come to the definition part. Role play is a method by which learners participate in an unrehearsed dramatization, acting out and assigned a part of a character as they think the character would act in reality. So they just imagine that this is the character and this is how they play. This method arouses feeling, elicits emotions, achieves behavioral objectives. Role playing is a method that teaches learner real life situation to develop understanding of other people. We use role playing a lot in selling also, where students are selling some products with their own colleagues becoming customers or client, and we make them learn that what can be the possible reactions. And in HR also we will discuss later. Okay, now we come to how role playing is linked to educational theory. Those who have read Bandura's social learning theory, they know that people learn from one another. Observation, imitation, and modeling. Uh, just hold on. Okay, so Bandura's social learning theory states that people learn from one another. Usually, when we observe, we have a lot of learning, imitation, modeling. These are the good sources. Rather, the whole one aspect of learning, apart from classical and instrumental theory of learning, there is another, that is social learning theory, which is based on these concepts only, that is observation, imitation, and modeling. So when we see people actually doing things and how they are doing, we learn, and when we are in those similar situations, then we can apply these clues. Teaching, there can we use these role plays can be used for teaching delegation skills to new students, assertiveness, scientific understanding, communication skills, human interaction and empathy, opportunity to explore about feelings and attitude of others. So these are the ways, areas in which we can use, and it all depends upon the teacher's creativity, that how and when and where they wish to use role plays. The benefits are exploring feeling and attitude, potential for bridging the gap between understanding and feeling. Usually when we understand our feeling, there may be a gap. When there's a role play, the students can feel the emotional, apart from the cognitive, the emotional element can also be experienced. Collaborative learning, you are learning together in a group. Interpersonal skills are also developed. Active learning, see, this is one problem, that we become passive learners, but here we become active learners. All the senses are in use. This is also one very important theory, which says the more the senses of a human organism are used during the process of learning, the better is learning. So all the senses are active because we are doing. Immediate feedback you can get from the peer and the instructor, that what you have done, what you could have. This is the debriefing session, or you can say the evaluation part of the role play. Towards the end of the role play, the teacher will have to evaluate, take the feedback. Maybe the way person has behaved was maybe it has to be changed. They have to make a modification. There are some students who can give some input that he should have behaved like this, or he has acted the most aptly. So these feedbacks also improve on their skills, especially the managerial skills. Students' interest in the material increases, involvement also increases.
If you allow me to add.
Well,
the role playing, it's suitable for which topics or which sciences? Is it for example, for engineering or for business? Which type of topics that we can use this more than the other fields?
Yeah, actually, I'm into business, I'm into management, so I can give you some examples where we are using role play. That is something like when we are teaching students how to sell a product, selling jobs, how to interact with customers, or maybe for HR jobs like collective bargaining, or maybe interviews. Say all the students are prepared for interviews. So maybe one student becomes interviewer and the other become interviewee, and they are enacting those roles and learning from each other. They also start understanding what are the interviewers' expectations and how the interviewee should behave. So these types of role plays can, and then if you are into a different science, you can see how you can incorporate role play. Role play is a situation, a typical situation, and I think in all the subjects, in all the streams, those interpersonal situations are there, and you can always think of where you can use. I can quote examples of my stream in the management. We can use like this: any dealing which is going on between the client and the customer. For that, we can have a role play. So that is what I can say. But these are some of the challenges. The teacher can direct or limit the learner. Maybe they want to speak something, but we say something else. Maybe real life experiences are different. And then role play, for role play, we can only pick up 4 to 6 people. Not more than that we can use. Because then everything becomes very complex. So
Yes.
and other people will have to become audience. They cannot be part. Well, we can have 2-3 role plays, maybe 10 minutes, by which we can involve more students. But for a single role play, we cannot have many participants. Then usually the expectations are high. Then at times people don't come out of their anxiety. They don't want to get into any type of say dramatization because of their own inhibition, peer evaluation. But you will have to actually pursue them to come out of it and then play and enjoy it. And you have to be in a lighter mood while we are having these role plays. These are the steps. Offer a relevant scenario to the students. Give students 5 to 10 minutes to complete the task. There should be some time given. Find a way and process way to process student deliberation, that once this role play will be completed, what are the heads on which you are going to discuss, how you are going to say conclude the session. Some preparations have to be done by the teachers. Apart from deciding the script, the participants, these concluding remarks or deliberations have to be also pre-decided. And of course, the immediate input will have to be considered while we are deliberating. This is something very interesting that I like about role play, is that it provides a risk-free environment and an opportunity to practice skills and develop judgment. We can try all those things which we are going to face in real time, but the environment is risk-free. Suppose all the faculty, had we been in real time with each other, we could have practiced the same thing, and we could have seen what are the reactions. What are the probable reactions? Suppose I start scolding, then what can be the possible reactions? Or maybe there's a typical case of what is happening these days, that students are texting each other during the class and they are disturbing the class. What can be your reaction in those situations? How you handle those situations? But before you actually do it with the students, you can try this out with your own faculty members. So that is a risk-free environment. In the same way, when the student goes for selling a product and he is not prepared with the typical the type of reactions which the customers or the retailers will be having. So if they try it beforehand with their colleagues, they will be more comfortable in real-time situations. So there's a risk-free environment. There's no risk, but still they can practice. So it allows to build practical skills by applying theoretical knowledge in a controlled setting. And as I've told you, that we have use in HR for collective bargaining, appraisal interviews, selection interviews, and number of areas we can use it. We also had some of the other exercises, but then further, there's one more thing that we can use as an innovative method is a riddle, small riddles we can have in between the sessions. It can be short and refreshing. Humor can always be very useful. Now we go to the next. We have discussed initially the story, then the role play, then we come to the case study. Here, though I will be touching on case study, but I think by now almost every one of us are using case study. Now the focus is on how to help students in interpreting the case. A lot of sessions have been made on how to write a case and maybe how to deliver a session. But this is very important that we also know that how do we help our students in answering to those case studies or maybe caselets. So I will be going theoretically, then maybe in discussion we can have. An case study is an open-ended actual story, no ending given, no conclusion. Usually the small chunks are there. It has been pioneered by HBR, Harvard Business School. We are using it now quite a lot across the world. Allows for exploration, holistic view of the situation. It gives some sequence of events, and then we can evaluate. It helps in developing reading skills, analytical skills, logical skills, strategic thinking, coherence in thought process, communication skills. So these are some of the points. This is the reason case study has become a very common method of teaching and applied in different organizations. Cases are good and caselets are even better. So these are the points which we can use while we are discussing case study with our students and give them tips on how they understand it. Read, visualize, realize, analyze. Think about alternatives. What went wrong? What did happen? These are the questions that you can give them. When you give the caselet, give these questions also like this only, maybe on slide or maybe verbally, so that they have a better understanding. The solutions again can be multiple because individual decisions are also multiple, so we don't expect a one common right solution. Logical reasoning, action, and the process which they are using is more important. Which should be they should be noted. They should be asked to focus on the process. And well, while we are discussing with students how to solve the case study, they can be asked to follow these 7 steps, which are also steps of problem analysis. Read the case thoroughly. These small points you can give anytime when you are giving cases. Read the case thoroughly, define the central issue, define the firm's goal, identify the constraints of the problem, identify all the relevant alternatives, select the best alternative. So these are some of the points, and these are the main heads on which the summary of a case can be written. Executive summary, problem statement, alternatives, conclusion, and lastly, the most important, outline a plan of action that will lead to effective implementation of the decision. The student should be also telling that if this is the alternative, how this plan will be executed. So whether it's a small caselet you're giving, then also this plan of action should be, because you can think to this level of this will be the possible solution, but when it comes to implementation, then there are again issues, and especially when we talk of management or business students, the main challenge is implementation. So implementation part of case analysis should also be focused, and they should be knowing how to write. Then if you're discussing case in the class through group discussion also, then also the implementation part can be focused, and they can be asked to write the or maybe speak out the implementation part of the alternative. These are the sources from where I have taken up this content. So I have again touched quickly, because all innovative teaching methods is a long, at least 2 to 3 days exercise where we do a lot of say activities, but here we are having a virtual interaction, so I'm just touching some of their points. Yes, in the meantime, any query, any point which you would like to share or add on to whatever I have said? Dr. Shad, is there any content, because I am on full screen, I am not able to see the chat box. Is there any content on chat box?
So far, no queries, doctor.
Okay. Thank you.
My request to all the people, the floor is open. In case you have any queries, any doubts, you are free to put here.
Ha. And if you wish, as you wish, we can have it towards the end also. So audiovisual aids, this is again one thing which I've found in my recent experience to be very effective. Small film strip movies or videos to be shown in the class. We usually have a 30 hours interaction with students, and I make sure at least in 3 to 5 classes we have 10 to 15 minutes video strips. So that attracts a lot. We can start with the video, or maybe we may conclude. Usually I start with the video, and then we can relate that content with the subject content with the video. And we nowadays we have on YouTube we have brilliant say content available, which can relate to almost all the subject. So TED Talks, their videos are very good. So we can pick up those videos, but of course teacher will have to work extra. They will have to explore. To pick up one video, you may have to see 10 videos and maybe serve a load on internet. But then of course the results are pretty good. And then you can use those videos for at least 2 to 3 times for different sessions. So that way the videos, and uh, anything which is happening maybe with respect to Hollywood movies, or maybe something recent trends which is going on in the world, that attracts students attention, and small videos which are related to them can be used for deliberating on the content. So not much to say. uh, Panel discussions, again, online panel discussions can be not only because of this COVID crisis, otherwise also you can use it, and we can have 2 3 people coming together online and then discussing, and maybe within our role regular classes we can have experts discussing. This can be also good way. Apart from these things, we have other methods also, like group discussion. At least I make sure that 1 or 2 class again have group discussion. Maybe in a 1 hour class we have 15 20 minutes or half an hour group discussion. Whenever I have this topic of gender equity and diversity management, I usually start with the group discussion, and I have a lot of input. At times, students have much more to say than what all is written in the books, and maybe that is more contemporary and relevant, and that can be recorded, and we can use it in our classes further also, and maybe for our own understanding. So, group discussion can also be used as one of the method of teaching. uh, Not only see if the companies can use this method for selecting, for deciding that who is most appropriate, we as teacher can also use it as transfer of information and knowledge. Sensitivity training, seminars, outbound learning, poems. Outbound learning is where you take the people out of the class, students out of the class, and then make them do some activities. So again, we can have at least one session in the whole, say, maybe your trimester or semester, where they are learning through out of class activity, that is outbound. Poems or songs can be very, whatever be the local or colloquial songs which students are interested, maybe uh, Hollywood songs, Bollywood songs, or K-pop is very popular these days. That's Korean pop. So whatever students are interested, you can use them. And the young students have their own ideals, they have their own models. So we'll have to get to know that who is more popular among them, and we can always refer them their songs, their poems, their say couplets, while we are connecting to this to our subjects. Especially when we are, say, slowly and gradually, when we are moving more on to a, say, virtual learning, we will have to, because of this crisis, we will have to connect more with the students. I was just reading one of the article which was at HBR. They were saying that students are on virtual platform, and now that we have to bring training and learning also on a virtual platform. So it is not so difficult, but we will have to learn that how to bring this learning and training also on a virtual platform and help them to connect with this virtual learning. Students come to their regular classes for many more things apart from learning. That is maybe classmates, maybe fun, maybe some girl, maybe some interpersonal say conversation. So there are multiple reasons for which students come to their physical classes. So maybe if we are not able to give everything, but at least some flavor of these things have to be given while we are slowly and gradually bringing people to the virtual platform. So that is again one area where the teachers will have to focus, will have to learn in the time to come, because as we see the pandemic is taking its toll, we will have to have a blended form or maybe a parallel robust online learning system in all the educational institutions throughout the world. Okay, so we come back to how to discover more innovative teaching methods. See, innovation is nothing which can be a one-time affair. Innovation is something which has to be a regular thing. And I think innovation is something which is more relevant to the immediate needs. When we do something which is more relevant to the immediate needs, then it becomes innovative. And for that, we can always collaborate with our colleagues, our fellow teachers who can we can reflect with them, we can think discuss that I'm thinking like this, what are your inputs. Then you can throw ideas to students that how would you like this session to be taken up. We can also brainstorm with students. We can have some clubs and interest groups also where the students come. See, students are brighter, they are more intelligent, we should accept. And if we have to prove that we are more intelligent, then we will have to actually accept their intelligent and bring the take the best what they are having and blend it with our experience and then give them the best. So this is how we can have more innovative methods of teaching. So these are just few I have discussed. You can have even more, many innovative methods with your colleagues and with your students you can construct. Well, we have discussed methods. Now I will focus on that what is the theoretical base to these methods that we have been discussing. I will come to discuss about little about andragogy by Malcolm Knowles and various learning styles. Malcolm Knowles has given the concept of andragogy. He said that the teaching to adults is different. Adult means those are grown up, maybe 14, 15, 16 to 18, you can say these days you are, they will come andragogy. Especially after 18, they are all adults, and the method by which they will be taught will be different. And he said pedagogy is a generic word which you can use for children, but andragogy for adult. And what unique about this andragogy? Understand the age group of the participant. Age group of the participant is very important while you are using any methodology. Dealing with resistance to change. When we are especially dealing adults, they are resistant to change. They all want change, but they are resistant. So whenever you will bring up something new, there will be some resistance that you will have to manage. Like when I say, let's have a role play, then many students will say, no, I will not, I cannot do, I'm not comfortable with it. So there will be a resistance. Monologue may not work for them. Monologue, one way speaking, some clues have to be taken, maybe verbal, maybe non-verbal. The better is that we have verbal, but non-verbal clues can also work at time. So we will have to see that there is a two-way communication when we are dealing with adults. They are equally knowledgeable. We cannot expect that the adults don't know. They are equally knowledgeable, especially in this time. They have so much of information. They will always cross verify you. Whatever you are going to speak in the class, they are going to immediately Google and find out what this teacher is saying and what is there on net available on this topic. So we have to accept that they're knowledgeable, and therefore their participation becomes equally important, and we should come up to a level of collaborative learning. Finding coping mechanisms for unavoidable. There are certain things which are unavoidable, which will happen. So we will have to learn to cope with these things, these situations when we are dealing with adults. We cannot be very, say, authoritarian or maybe suppressive. So for that, we will have to develop. And we will have to be prepared with alternative methods when we are using new methodology, especially dealing with adults. Maybe I have prepared a typical lecture or maybe a seminar, but the things are different. The mood of audience is different. So we will have to be prepared with some alternative methods. So this is what Malcolm Lawless says, that the dealing with adult learners is different, and therefore our ways of handling our pedagogy, or as he says, andragogy, has to be different. Therefore, he talks about participation. Then VAK learning style. There are three main sensory receivers: vision, auditory, and kinesthetic movement. Use all three to receive information, or make sure that your receiver uses all three senses while receiving the information. You give visual information, auditory information, as well as that makes the learning complete. One or more of these receiving style is normally dominant, but among all the learners, some or the other style is dominant. May not always be same for the same task. For something we understand, we learn quickly when we listen. For the other things, we may be more comfortable when we do. So for depending on the task also, our say style may be different. And of course, from individual to individual, when we see the learning style, like typically if I talk about myself, I usually learn better when I do the things. That is kinesthetic. Then auditory. So that's the second preferred style is auditory. So all of us have certain preferred style of learning, maybe by learning by listening, learning by seeing, learning by doing. Then there are four possible learning style: doing, watching, feeling, thinking. Doing, active experimentation; watching, reflective observation; feeling, concrete experience; thinking, abstract conceptualization. I will just describe more in the next two slides. And because of this, we have four learning style: activist, reflector, theorist, and pragmatist. Activists are the one who do and feel. Doing and feeling preferences, or concrete active. Concrete active. Reflector, watching and doing. Concrete reflective. Theorist, watching and thinking, or abstract reflective. Pragmatist, thinking and doing, or abstract active. There's a diagram which will make things even clearer, that this is Kolb's learning style. Here we see there's an activist, there's a reflector, there's a theorist, there's a pragmatist. Accommodating, diverging, assimilating, converging. Concrete experience, reflective observation, abstract conceptualization, active experimentation. Here in the first we see people feel. Feeling element is strong. Watching, then thinking. They think and then they learn. And then doing. Uh, these active experimentation are the people who will learn best when they are using role play. Feeling and thinking type prefer stories. Visual aids, watching, like videos and all. If you play video, they will feel very good, comfortable, and they will learn a lot because their reflective observation style is there. Okay, now I have a small exercise for all of you. Yeah, 20 words in the crossword which depicts teacher's traits as expected by the students in the classroom. There are 20 traits which are there. Please detect the words and write in the space given below. Okay, you will not be able to write in the space, but then you can write on the chat box, so you can speak it out. I will give you 2-3 minutes to just thoroughly study the crossword and then give. And yes, then give your answers. And here are some points. The words may be upside down or downside up, left to right or right to left. Here's the sheet, here's the crossword. Or faculty members are requested just to see that what traits or characteristics of teachers are mentioned over here. And these are as per the expectation of the students. What words you can detect. You can write it on your chat box and you can speak it out after 2-3 minutes.
Yes,
Could
Dr.
anyone
Monica.
detect? Yes.
Yeah, it is second row from the left side. Second row.
Yeah.
Column number 3. It is communicable. It's communicable.
Okay. Okay. Yes, you're right. Anyone else?
And again, in second row from third column, it is contemporary.
Contemporary. Very good, sir. So nice. Yes, anyone else would like to try?
We have
adaptable.
yes, we
The
have
last word?
flexible. Flexible
adaptable
from
as well.
yes, from on the first column, from where you have from the second column down, you have flexible there.
Yes, sir, absolutely right. It's flexible. Teachers expect us to be adaptable, flexible, good at communication, contemporary as well. Yes, there are 20 words. We have just 5 words now. So I want faculty members to share more. And it's thrilling now.
We have another word there, expressive.
Competent.
That is, teachers should be able to be
Yes,
expressive.
expressive is the word. Yes, right, sir.
Competent.
Adaptable is equally a word there in the last
First
group.
column from bottom side.
I'm not able to get it.
Adaptable.
First column from bottom side, it is competent.
Competent. Okay. Communicable.
And there's a word mentor. Mentor.
We have in the last row,
The seventh row.
adaptable.
Yeah.
Adaptable.
Yes, adaptable is there.
Humorous.
Humorous.
in
Yes,
the
madam.
fourth row.
Absolutely right. Yes, it's humorous.
In
Humorous.
this second last line, we
motivator.
expressible.
Line motivator.
Expressive.
French.
Second last line.
Okay.
Column number 2. From down side, it is second line. Expressive.
Expressive. Yes, sir.
Good
Expressive
teacher
is the
should
word.
be expressive. Yeah, through
Should
his
be
physical gestures.
Agreed. The teacher should be expressive.
We equally have another word there, mentora.
Mentor. As mentor is a word. Yes. We have still some words which are left. Let others also try.
Ma'am, there is one word which is unbiased.
Oh yeah, ma'am. I think you are an unbiased teacher. Therefore, you picked up this word.
Yeah.
We have
Absolutely
caring
right.
here.
Actually, we picked up those words which are more close to us. Yes,
The word
unbiased.
caring is there. From bottom, it is line number 5.
Yeah.
Caring.
Caring. Yes, yes, sir. Absolutely right. Caring. Students expect us to be caring as well.
Yes.
So, should I show the key? Qualified. Yes. So now I show the key now. Is it okay?
Yes.
Yeah, please.
All of you have done very well. So I'm showing the key now.
Let's.
Yeah, here's this is the key. Humorous, knowledgeable,
Mute.
yeah, contemporary, competent, communicable, open, leader, impartial, unbiased, positive, creative, caring, qualified, presentable, expressive, flexible, sincere, adaptable. So I think almost say 15 to 16 words have been identified in such a quick succession. So that's a great achievement. So that is also say one very interesting thing I have devised. I used to do this crossword. I thought of why not to use it in the class. So I hope you enjoyed. And we can have a lot of ideas coming from students also. The regular activities that we do. And see these words, when these words will click to us, when we find these words, then whenever we're in the class, we can identify that these are the expectations. And well, with this session, with coming close to the session, I thank all of you for giving me this opportunity, hearing me, and interacting with me. Thank you
Very
very
useful.
much. Thank you.
So maybe we have some
Professor.
question to ask you, Dr. Monica.
Yeah, please. Yes, if you have some questions, maybe.
Yeah, maybe the voice is not clear to me actually because I don't know.
Yeah, Dr. Monica, I have a question.
Please unmute.
Yes, Dr. Monica. Is there any specific tool? Because last year I have attended 5 or 6 different online webinars from around the globe.
I'm not able
So
to
far, no
listen. There is
university in
not a
Gulf
voice.
is able to
Please mute your
provide
mic.
any online or virtual platform for medical students. You have
Sorry, I have muted everyone. Please ask your questions one by one. Unmute your microphone, the person who is speaking, and then put your questions forward. It was creating chaos in the discussion here. One by one, put your microphone on unmute and then ask questions.
Yes, Dr. Monica. Should I?
Yes, please.
Okay. So, is there any specific e-tool or software which you would recommend to train the medical students, especially health sciences, because we have health sciences department in our university?
I am not able to listen. You are saying something for medical student.
Your attention delivered to your doorstep by Crookie once more knowledge was.
Anyway, it seems it's creating a lot of disturbance. Let's put the questions in the chat box. So I'm reading the questions for you, Professor, from here. What our Professor Kashif Sabri wants to ask you is that what online tools would you recommend for the practical subjects in the health sciences? So far in the Gulf, he says that no university is able to incorporate online tools for medical students. So what tools would you like to suggest for the medical students for learning online?
The online tools will be the same. That is the platforms like you are using GoToMeet and all. We at our institute use not Google Sheets. We use Form, Google Form, Google Doc, then Jamboards. They are very interactive. So what we use that I can suggest is the platform that you are using, that is GoToMeet, is equally very useful. See, important point is that we understand that what we have to convey. Practical training depends upon, see, if you want to convey some theoretical point, then your PowerPoint presentations can be very good. As far as you are talking about medical and what practical thing that you are, yes, I have just heard that training medical students online is not that easy. That I understand, and I'm not an expert in that area, so I cannot tell you. But for theoretical things, of course, we can use these platforms only.
Professor, one question which is coming again and again. For us, in the midst of COVID-19, we all are taking sessions through the digital platforms like GoToMeeting, Zoom, Google Meet, etc.
Yes.
But time again, a question is that how we have to take care of assessment, because in many of the universities across the globe, assessments and the examinations have been suspended. So what are the alternatives? How we can use these techniques for the assessment purposes? If you can throw light on that, it will be great.
See, assessment, if your university is having a very standard format, then it is not possible. But otherwise, if teachers are having a value system, then we can have a lot of teacher-based assessment where teacher decides what should be the way of assessment, and even full marks can be allotted by the faculty members itself, and the faculty can conduct some say case study based, maybe long answers, maybe quizzes can be conducted. Especially if you assess students based on cases, it is very individualized, and you cannot expect students to copy. Even if they copy, it will be reflected. So work of evaluation will become difficult. But if teachers set a value, then these all platforms like forms, there's questionnaire, emails can be used for assessment. We can have like we are having conferences one-to-one, we are talking. Why can't we interview one-to-one students to judge their level of knowledge? See, whether it is quantitative, you can always have certain quizzes. Time barred quizzes means you give the quiz for say half an hour. Within half an hour, the students will have to respond. So that way you can assess their level. The assessment is of course a problem, and which is coming up, but to my mind, assessment can be done with the available tools, but teachers will have to be given freedom. What they can do, what we are planning at our institute is that we base our assessment some part objective based, some part theory based, and some part maybe like 33% is theory based, where we are assessing their theoretical knowledge, where we can have simple questions and answers they can give online, maybe through emails they can give the answers, or maybe Google forms. We have online forms. Then we have objective quiz, 33%, and maybe 33% we give to cases, practical. When the questions are given practical, have to be answered in a practical manner, maybe case study, or maybe through scenario analysis. In that case, the possibility of student copying, or you can say taking help of others is less. And we can always have, like, you give a case, the student has to respond or answer that, study that case and respond within half an hour or 1 hour. So that way you can the teachers and we break the evaluation into two parts, that is practical, that is theoretical, objective, and practical. Dr. Shad, I think we can have a question answer session through emails now, because there is some confusion. Either the what is the best critical thinking methodology could be used at risk with at-risk students under probation. Critical thinking, of course. See, with the
At-risk students basically mean the students whose marks are less, and we identify them at risk because if they continue like this, they may not be able to graduate and may not be fit for the job.
See, the best is that you keep on giving specific content. You give a very defined content, and on those defined content you ask only question. You break the content into small chunks and you ask them to answer the questions on small chunks, because whenever you will give a big content to be assessed, suppose you have say 10 topics to be discussed, so you give them you test them on 3 topics at a time, not more than 3. So this is how you can accumulate the scores, and this is how the students can also pass the exams. So that is what we do. When we think that it's not the capability of the student to take the whole course together, then we break the things into small chunks, and then we evaluate on those small chunks. So this is how we help the student to pass.
Thank you, Rector. It's clear.
How will you assess that the integrity of the casement component? Cases.
It is assessment.
Okay. Case assessment. Case assessment component.
Yes.
See, if we give students some cases which have to be responded within a time frame of an hour or so, then the probability, we can reduce the probability, but still there can be copying can be there. But the work of teacher becomes very difficult. The teacher will have to read line by line everything which the student has written. And if a teacher can read line by line everything which has written in the case, then he or she can very easily detect whether it is original or it is copied. So that is not a difficulty, but then the task of teacher will definitely increase. So that is the reason what we have planned, that we make only 30% on application, where the possibility of diluting the system becomes less. And well, when we give quiz, then the students may quickly talk within their say groups, and they can share some answers. That is possible. So 33% is there. Then there is some theoretical knowledge where they have to write, and then of course we can have these interviews. We can have a viva voce, which can be done very easily on these VCs. So we can have 10-minute viva voce for students. There we can assess. So somehow or the other we will have to assess in this time, and we will have to devise of that what we can do with the available resources. Is the College of Health Science, we have case study assessment. I don't know if you have, in India we have case study assessments are done. Your country, you may be doing better, and if it is there, you can always have. Okay, before have more questions, you have to say, someone have to say?
Yes, the last question, which is coming, we have been discussing, it is a question coming from the colleges like health sciences, colleges like engineering, and other colleges which are involved in the conducting the labs, including College of Business. Although we have like online labs available now, we have labs, but still the students, they are not able to practice. So what do you think, how we can motivate students in using these lab-based things?
I
Because
have told you
so lab
it
becomes like a
has to go out.
monotonous thing.
Yeah, actually, this is one point. See, as I've discussed in the session also, when students come to whether it is lab or to class, please, we all have to understand they are not coming there for learning only. Learning is not the only thing for which they are coming to classes or to those labs. They are coming to interact, to be comfortable, to have some fun time. These are also reasons for them to come to the those labs and classes. So we will have to have some flavor. We will have to give this flavor to them. We'll have to be more personal. We have to be empathetic. We may have to talk little lighter things about their family, about their health also. So maybe some general things can make them feel more comfortable. Yeah, viva voce can be done. So these are student psychology, especially in this time. We will have to spend more time on understanding what students want, what is their psychology, and then to go to the subject, because if you think that you have crafted very good content and the students will absorb it as it is, it will not going to happen. It's not going to happen. You will have to have some fun element. You will have to involve things which are more relatable to them, and then come to your topic. So that is what I have to say. I have one assessment also towards the end. I thought if time will permit, I will share with you. You all can do it on a self-assessment basis. I am just sharing. Yeah, it is. Is it visible on your screen now? Full screen?
Yes, it's visible.
Yes, you can have your assessment based on my session. See, these quick assessments and your scores also help you in motivating. So you can give the small quizzes after every session, maybe 5 questions quiz, and student get their assessment. This will be also a good motivator to them to be in the class, because we all want stroking that psychological say patting. So these quiz can also be, you all can try. I am muting myself for some time so that you can write the answer, and then I will share with you the right answers. You have to write T or F, or you can write serial number and T and F. So I think all of you have done now. Let's discuss the answers to this quiz. So role play method focuses on thinking and doing. Yes, it does focus on thinking. We will have to think of the characters and then have to actually play. Game should be played in teams only. False. Game can be, sorry, true. Games have to be played in teams, because then the team spirit comes. Then complex game should not be tried in the classroom. True. It will make more chaos. Playful attitude of the students during the game should be discouraged. playful attitude should not be discouraged. So this is false. Local language can be used in audio video aids. Well, of course, it can be used. Attention or span of adult learners is 3 to 6 hours. No. Attention span of whether it is adult or it is younger, it is something around an hour. Younger the child, it is something around half an hour to 40 minutes, then 1 hour for the adult. So we cannot expect adult learners to keep on listening for longer time. Very good. So many people have given responses. Creating humor in the class can be risky affair. Yes, it can be risky until unless the students know that it has some sense there, because there are certain very logical students also sitting in the class. So they have to have reason for everything that you do. So for students who are interested in fun, for them the humor has to be there, but the humor has to be also correlated. So it can be risky affair. So we should not be trying humor in the initial few classes. Let's develop the rapport and then we can have humor. For role play, instructor should be provided in writing on what the students have to do. True, that's yes. Blessy is saying true, and yes, it is true. Most of the learning comes from auditory clues. Yes, auditory clues are very important source, but visual becomes the most important factor. So this is false. Visual learner learn by doing the things. No, visual learner learn by seeing the things. So this is false. So right, we have all the answers discussed. So all of you can see where you stand. And anyways, it's so thrilling interacting with all of you through the chat box and through voice messages. Shad, Dr. Shad, now I would like to close the session, and we can maybe some other session some other time, because had it been a real-time physical interaction, it would have been much more fun. But I think it's better that we have connected. Having a real-time session would have taken so much of time and effort, but because of this challenge of COVID, we are able to connect with so many people by just one click. And it was so fun interacting and getting inputs from all of you. So I thank all of you once again, Dr. Shad and all the senior people from University of Burami, all the deans and the directors and the faculty colleagues. I'm really blessed to have such a nice audience who was so interactive, and it was real fun being with you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Now, as customary, I'll be inviting our Dean, College of Business, to propose a formal vote of thanks. It was indeed a great session. Hand over the session to Dr. Ibrahim to propose a vote.
Yes, Prof. Dr. Monica. Hi.
Hello.
Yeah. Yes, thank you for doing this session. So, on behalf of participants, we have learned from you so much, and we are looking forward to learning more in future. Thank you for your time and thank you for your efforts. We are really very grateful to have you today. So thank you.
Same here.
Yeah, okay. Inshallah, we'll meet you again.
Oh.
Also,
I must also thank tomorrow's resource person, Dr. Sonam Pradhan, who is available here to join us today.
Yeah, a lot of thanks for Dr. Shad for preparing this webinar today. And thanks for all people who are participants in this session. Thanks to all.
It was a pleasure, Doctor. It was a pleasure. I appreciate your coordination and your support. Thank you so much for allowing this session to happen. Thank you so much.